Hey everybody. Oh, I made some changes here. And I've got to scale my screen. Just getting set up here. It's kind of hard to test some of this stuff out without actually being live, so usually it takes me a minute or two to get kind of going here. Today we're going to be working on some more Prism. We had started this last Saturday, and oh, this is just ridiculous how it's scaling my screen. We'd started on this last Saturday, and camera's not focusing, or it's low quality. Basically, what we're going to do is enhance Prism. There is a active issue on the Prism repo. It might take a minute, Sammer. Thanks for tuning in, by the way. It's always awesome to have somebody taking a look. Might just take a minute for it to get up and running, which is fine anyways, because right now I'm just trying to make this work basically on a basic level. I changed my screen resolution, and apparently OBS didn't handle that very well. There we go. Okay. So last time I was zooming everything in, and I figured instead of doing that, hey man, what's up? Instead of having to zoom in constantly on every piece, every app that I'm working with, instead I just changed my screen resolution so it's a little easier to see. Okay, so what I'm going to start with is walking through, just going to kind of review from last session again, and we'll also talk about some of the notes I got from the Prism team, which is cool. Hello, Lex Batello. Welcome. So, okay, last session we worked on kind of going through the page navigation service in Prism to figure out how it's working, and we stubbed in some code. So the whole intent, the whole thing that we're trying to do is Prism will only handle navigation to a certain point if you're using tabs. So if you're using tabs, you can navigate to a selected tab or create a tab on the fly using Prism Navigation Service. It does that for you, but any page beyond that, so if you need to open up like a bunch of pages in the stack after you've navigated to a tab, Prism won't do that out of the box. So there's an open issue. I'm just going to start my music. Cool. Again, with the music, if it is too loud, too quiet, whatever, please let me know and I can adjust. It's probably just faint, just want some ambient background noise. It's kind of nice to work to some okay-ish ambient music too. Okay, so here's the issue that we're tackling. Brian had opened this issue 2 years ago in the Xamarin.Forms project, and this is kind of my understanding of where things were, where things ended for this. So there's an issue in Xamarin.Forms that was impacting this, but this is going to be fixed like right away. This recently just got some attention, so down here, it's impacting hot reload now, not just Prism. So sprint 168, which I think is next sprint. So we should see a fix for this coming through, but we can still do quite a bit. We can stub everything in. We can put workarounds around this Xamarin.Forms issue until then. There's also an issue on the Prism repo. Let me just bring that up. Just gonna bring this up here. Okay, so app links, deep navigation. There is an issue that is sponsored to me. Let's go find that. Here we go. So last session, I picked this up from, oops. I commented on this issue because it's been open for a while. This is actually the Prism specific issue, so you can't navigate into subpages of a tab bar item. So that's exactly what we're trying to tackle here. So if you have a navigation stack that looks navigation page, tab page, and then you've got a bunch of stuff within that, like you're going to select the tab. So this is how you do it with Prism. You go navigation page, tab page, you're selecting a tab. Here's the name of your tab that you're going to select, and then these are the pages that you want to open after. It'll process up to here. So it'll do all these. It'll open a new navigation page, a new tab page, select the tab that you want, and then none of this is processed. So we're going to make sure that this gets processed. So we started with the workaround. So we just basically did a two-stage. So we navigated up to here, to the selected tab, and then when the view model for that selected tab was navigated to, so once we were kind of entering that and seeing it on screen, we then processed the rest. So we passed this piece in as a parameter, the view A page, a view B page, and had those processed when we landed on the selected tab. So it was a two-stage thing. It works, but it's not built in. So everybody who's implementing this would have to go through the pain of implementing their own specific kind of handling for that. So it's better that it's built into the framework. Prism's power, a lot of Prism's power comes from the navigation framework and the navigation service. So bolstering that and making it more robust so it'll handle deep links just right out of the box is going to be a big win for Prism. And a big win for everybody who uses Prism. And uses Xamarin.Forms because it's a really great way of doing things. And deep links are so important if you're doing consumer-facing app and need to do marketing, or if you're doing even just maybe you've got a developer-focused app, maybe you want to link to a specific work item or something like that. There's all kinds of different reasons why you'd want to use deep navigation or deep link navigation. Dan has also opened another piece here. So I haven't looked at this yet. So part of this is I'm trying not to work on any of this Prism work not on stream. So I'm basically going through this live. So I saw Dan had opened this issue. I have no idea what's in it. So let's take a look now. You have a requirement to handle URL within your app. Prism uniquely positioned here with URL-based navigation. Exactly. Sample shows how to take a Prism URL like Prism library. Updates the platform. Oh, interesting. So this is tricky because this is a different thing altogether. So if you've ever used deep links, actually put deep links together in Android, it's pretty easy. In Android, I'll actually show you how we're doing that in Android here. So let's take a quick look. And I'll kind of get into some of the intricacy of why it's more difficult for iOS. So Android, it's easy. We're basically just using an intent filter in an attribute here. So we're decorating our activity with an intent filter. And for our case, we're handling HTTPS tomobiledevs.com. So as soon as you install this app and this intent filter, well, when you build this app, this intent filter gets processed and generates into your Android manifest. So it becomes an intent element in your activity element in your Android manifest. So it generates that for you. So then when you install the app, Android knows that you're capable to handle that scheme and host So it automatically starts passing things or gives you the ability to launch a tomobiledevs.com URL with the app that it's registered to. So pretty straightforward with Android. iOS is a different story. You actually have to work with the developer portal and provisioning profiles. So from my experience, I think it's almost, I'll have to talk to Dan about that because that's interesting. I'm not sure what he has exactly in mind, but I know with iOS, you'd probably have to use Fastlane or something to actually work with the Apple portal and get the provisioning profile set up for what you want to do. So, okay. Anyways, we're not going to get into that any further anyways, or I probably talked too long about it. Let's talk about what we're going to do today. So, when I reached out to Dan about this, he sent me a whole pile of notes, so I want to kind of parse through this. So, he's just commenting. This is basically comments he sent me on the issue. So on this issue, I'm just going to close this one. This is the one we're focusing on. So on the actual, the deep linking tab navigation, he said, okay, result of tab page with view A and view B as tabs and view B as a selected tab. So view A. Okay, so creating two tabs. So this is dynamically creating tabs and then selecting view B and then displaying view C. So in my apps, I don't use the Prism Create tab. And I can't remember why specifically I do that. I generally, like if we look at our sample, so let's take a look at our sample. There's a specific reason that I don't usually do it like that, and I can't really remember why. There was something about it which lacked the same flexibility as doing it through XAML, so I don't do it that way. So main page in our sample here is our tabbed page. And the main page here, of course, we've got our tab page children, and within that we've got two navigation pages. So this is our view A and view B. So browse and about. This is just from the Xamarin project template. So, okay, we've got an app, has two tabs, and we can navigate to the selected tab. We have handling code in here that allows us to handle the second stage of the navigation. So I'll just briefly poke at that. Just anybody who hasn't seen the first couple rounds of this to get some context. So when we go to the first tab, so if we navigate to the Browse tab here, which is actually opening items page and the items view model. The items view model is equipped to handle a special parameter. So we've got this name parameter called, Prism uses a concept of navigation parameters and has these special methods that are part of the iNavigation aware interface. So this is a Prism interface. You implement this and you get a couple of methods that you can override. And one of those methods, the two methods are unnavigating from, unnavigated to. Those are the two big ones. Actually, the only two. The other one was moved. Anyways, so we've got a navigation parameter that we're passing into this called subpage path. And this subpage path is essentially that second part of the URI, and we're navigating to it. So, last time we looked at what the navigation service, this is Prism component, what this is actually doing out of the box. Just gonna have a slurp of coffee here. I need to go get some water. I'm kind of parched. Coffee, key, no beer today, yet, maybe midstream. I'm wearing a beer t-shirt though. This is Godspeed. This is generally the beer I will drink when I'm on stream. This is a nearby Toronto brewery. They're very good. So last time we stubbed this out, so it was basically we had to do a couple things. So this tab page selected tab. So I was quickly talking about in here how I was using XAML-based navigation. So I didn't use create tab. So I think the first thing I need to do before I even get into, mucking around with the navigation service is create another test scenario for those create tab scenarios. And I should be unit testing this. I know that. And I was actually toying with the idea of having some segments built into the stream where, a timer goes off and I have to write unit tests. We'll see if I get there. Okay, so let's take a look. I am totally oblivious to Xamarin.Forms tests. Totally oblivious. Like, I have no idea what's in here. I've looked at the project a lot from the navigation service point of view. A project I had that I was working on previously, like about a year and a half ago. That project had its own navigation service, which was not ideal, but it was what I had to work with. And so I ended up pulling a lot of concepts and code out of the Prism navigation service, like just borrowing the way it was working to bring some sanity to the home-rolled navigation service I was left with. Okay, so we've got some mocks in here. Cool. Behaviors, mocks, common. Let's see where this is used. So let's look at page navigation service fixture. See where this is used. You know what? These tests might not be in here at all. So I've opened, the solution I've been working with is just the Prism library solution. There's another solution, and that's for Prism library forms. I'm gonna open that in Rider. The reason why I'm opening it in Rider is because if I have to write unit tests in Visual Studio for Mac, I will probably cry. Okay. Oh, my fun Power App stuff I'm working with. Things you don't wish on your worst enemy. Okay, so this is my Prism clone here. So yeah, there's this Prism library forms, core. Okay, let's try this one. Try the forms project. Just gonna take this moment to check on the YouTube stream. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna just move this over. This is opening on my second window or second monitor. Wish I could share my second monitor, but it's a ultra wide. I never thought about that when I purchased an ultra wide. Of course, that's not really something to consider. You don't go, oh, wonder what this will work with, if this will work with streaming. No, you don't think of that. You just think, how can I maximize my workflow? Okay. Just making sure there's no action in the chat here. We'll keep that open. Okay, tests. Cool. So Prism Forms tests, that's what we were looking at. But then there's core tests. Lots of fixtures in here. Some mock view models. So I assume, yeah, I don't know. I don't know where these tests are. Okay, so instead of mucking around with this, I am going to create, this is questions. Open questions. So, our first open question. Where are the unit tests? Is there any documentation for the test? Oh. Or are there docs for the tests? Are there docs for the tests and different solution files? Cool. And if there's not, I can write some. If not, I can create some. Basically, just like as we learn things about Prism, add to it. So other people who are in the same position who want to work on it have a good starting point. Okay, so that's first note. Cool. Just make this a markdown. Good. Okay, so back to our navigation service. Let's take a look. So I'm not going to write a unit test because I don't know where any of that is at this point. We'll figure it out. All right, so I want to create an actual app implementation for the create tabs. So it's kind of interesting when I parse or process the incoming link. So let's go back to, so what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to revert a bit of code that I had commented out last time. So last time we had this nice code here. So basically this is the Xamarin.Forms event on the app class, which you override to intercept the deep link. It's really straightforward. It's really, really nice, actually. So really, to get a deep link going on your app, you need the intent filter, and you need this method, to override on app link request received URI, and your URI is there, and you can do whatever you need to with it. So what we're doing in this exercise is we're formatting the URIs that are coming in from our deep link exactly like Prism wants them. So we're using the Prism naming convention and URI scheme, so we can bring it in here and just use that. Just pass it over to the Prism navigation service with no modification, and it will take you exactly where that deep link is supposed to take you. Makes it way more flexible. Now, you don't have to take that route. You don't have to even use Prism. You could build your own parser or your own like case statement here, that or if statement or whatever you want, that could take that URI and, you know, maybe you're just going to products and you don't care about any fancy navigation, and that's kind of what we have here. This is fancy. Okay, so I am going to just uncomment this because what we're going to do, so this is the original test. In here, this child found, I'm going to keep this in here and keep the breakpoint because this is the code I added last time. So basically last time we created the static URI variable. We're populating that when we enter the navigation service. So when we call the navigate async command, I'll show you that really quick. It's navigate async internal. Let's look at it from this view, the changes view. So here in our navigate internal method, I'll just flip back. I've got a line number now, 311. So when we enter the navigation, so all routes kind of lead to this navigate internal method, like all the public interface-based navigate methods lead to this. It's just doing little bits of transformation to get all the, it's basically like nice overloads for the navigate method that take in either URI or, you know, various parameters. It's really good. They all lead to here. So what we're doing here, and this is hack. So I'm just doing this to do some POC work. So I set the static URI field to the incoming URI because we have to use it later on. So what gets passed to that method we were looking at before, where the other stubbed in code is only a segment of the URI. So you can see the first thing that this does is it breaks it down. So we take that first segment, which is basically the first part. So if we look back at the issue, the first takes the first part of this URI and processes it. So let's go take a look at that again. Whoops. Okay, so it takes this first segment and processes it. So we've got some code in there. And God, I gotta get familiar with the line numbers here. I'm just gonna be lost all the time. And the method names. So it's tab page select tab. So tab page select tab, it only has access to that first segment. So because we only have the first segment, we have to get the URI again. I didn't want to do that through the whole method chain. That's probably what we'll ultimately end up doing with that. Maybe, if this is the right place. Brian has already told me it is not the right place, which we'll go back and look at that in a minute. But before I start implementing this, I want to understand it a little bit more. So I think doing the create scenario and walking through it one more time is going to be helpful. So I'm going to slap some breakpoints back on here. So we're going to break on the child found. So actually, I don't want to break on child found. Yeah, maybe I do. Let's see. So I'm going to launch this. I'm actually going to launch this. Here's a lesson I learned last time. I learned last stream that I absolutely do not want to run the Android emulator. So I'm learning. So now I'm going to use, so this is my phone, one of my test phones. I'm actually just going to point the camera at it instead of it at the camera. This is my Moto G3 test phone. I lovingly call this phone shit phone because it's very old and very slow. And it's really, really nice for testing, actually. It gives you those kind of edge cases that you don't see when you're working with the emulator or working with a brand new phone. So it's nice. It's a nice test device. I'm very happy I have it. It has a practical use. Okay. This is kind of ugly because of the resolution, but whatever. It's fine. Just give me a second. I'm just going to turn off some of this title and navigation bar. Use my screen real estate a little more efficiently here. Okay, cool. I'm good with that. Just need those valuable pixels. Okay, so I'm going to launch this on the Moto G3. So while that's launching, let's review Dan's notes a little more. So Dan says, so yeah, it should work for a create tab scenario. So this is almost the same as my tab scenario, except for it's using create tab, using Prism to dynamically create the tabs within the navigation service, versus mine is using XAML. Oh, right, I know why. It's because my, right, so when you create a tab using Prism, there's a couple things. Number one, I don't think you can use a navigation page within that. So if you look at our main page here, oh, we've got build errors. What's going on? Oh, this. We had this last time too. I don't want that. I need my actual errors. These are brutal. Okay. It's just, so what I'm going to do again, because we opened Rider to look at unit tests and found that we just need more information. I'm actually going to open the Prism library solution. Prism library solution. The reason why I'm using Rider is because if I have to use Visual Studio to search, it doesn't work so well. So I'm just going to turn off XAML-C for everything because it's really complaining. something is. Do you see this nice feature with Rider? I click in the search results, and then I can edit it right below. So nice. This IDE is so nice. I could do find replace, but whatever. We're already far enough down that road that let's do the manual. Okay, so XAML is disabled. Cool. I'm not sure what's going on there. I don't care. Out of scope. Still got 2 errors. Huh. Did it just not pick up those changes? Close all. Let's try a clean. Take the lid off my coffee. Yeah, shit phones are the perfect test phones. This Moto G3 too is a bit of a, I don't know. So I got this phone, error on clean. Oh God, there's a UWP application open somewhere. Where is this? There's WPF. Okay, we're gonna unload this. This Moto G3, I got this because I had a not a Nexus. I had a OnePlus One, and it was a terrible lemon of a phone. It was fast, but the hardware, like, had tons of touchscreen issues and whatever. So I bought a cheap phone with relatively stock Android. Turned out it was too cheap for me and my needs as a daily driver, but it got me through like a few months. And one day I was riding with it. I was riding my bike and had it in my front jacket pocket. So I have like envelope pockets on the front of it. And I was going like top speed down a trail along Lake Ontario. And my leg coming up against my pocket, like, so the phone was sitting in the pocket, my leg was kind of coming up against it and pushed it out of the pocket. So it fell out of my pocket, full speed on my bike, absolutely as fast as I could go. And it's like bounced and skidded along the bike path. And I went back and picked it up, and yeah, it's got a couple dings in it, but I can't believe it survived that. I cannot believe that. And it still works to this day. So, you know, there's something to be said for making phones out of a little bit more durable materials. Like, sure, plastic is not pretty, but it wears way better than metal, and it'll take more abuse than metal. And glass, I don't know why they're making phones out of glass. Like, why? Like, have as little glass on it as possible. How about that? The screen only. That's why I like my Samsung too. My Samsung is just as bad. I've got a heavy duty case on it. Okay, enough rambling. Why is this happening to me? Why? Where is XAML turned on? What is going on? Just gonna close the solution here. Maybe something didn't get saved properly. Maybe. Okay, back to Visual Studio. So we cleaned it and rebuilt it. I changed some solution stuff last time. I changed some build options. So I turned like everything off. I just wanted bare minimum. Huh, I think that's what I've got. So it shouldn't even be building that stuff. Huh, weird. Let's try it one more time. It has nothing to do with my Motorola, I don't think. Maybe it does? I don't think so. What is going on here? Cool. Okay. I clicked save several times. The window went blank. Cancel didn't do anything, but the close button did. I don't know. Let's see if this breaks everything. It's saving forever. For some reason, yeah, right. I had this rant last time. Updating solution files is garbage. The file format is terrible. Oh, coffee is hot. Okay, solution saved. Let's build it. And it's going to build perfectly this time. Right? Visual Studio? Where did this fail last time? I think it didn't fail. It failed elsewhere. It didn't fail in the head. Come on. You can do it. You can do it. Hey, it did it. Cool. Okay. Does that visor like fit to window well? Ah, it does. Just take some mucking around. Okay, while this is doing this, I'm gonna put my desk into standing mode. And I have an anti-fatigue mat that I stand on here. Just makes it a little easier on the feet and ankles. All right. Synchronizing assemblies. Is it good? It's good. Okay, so now what I want to do, we were testing the deep links last time. Where's my deep link page? It is somewhere here. Can I paste into here? Oh, there's no way that's gonna work. Oh, what is it pasting? Whoa. Okay. Okay, bring up my deep links page. Cool. Okay, so what this will do, I've just got a couple of hard-coded links on here. If you look at the status bar here, we're navigating to main page, we're selecting tab items page, and then we're navigating to item detail page ID 2. So let's do that. That's on item 2. So cool. Prism tab nav. Okay, so it's hitting our breakpoint, which is great. Child found. Let's take a look. So I actually want to put a breakpoint here. Navigation segments, count 0. What came in here? That's interesting. Where did that come from? Huh. Interesting. Am I doing something weird with this? Oh yeah, I'm breaking it into 2 parts. Right. So yeah, we're only ever gonna see that first part. But it doesn't seem to be handling the second part, so let's take a quick look at what's going on there. This was working. I didn't think I changed this. So really we should get to here, right? So this is the 2-stage navigation. We should be able to get to this breakpoint because here we're setting that subpage path to the deep link page path. So let's put another breakpoint here. Go back here. Huh, so it didn't hit my breakpoint in app XAML CS on the resolve deep link. not hitting here, so it doesn't see the selected tab. I don't know what's going on. So there's no parameters, so this is going to be hit with nothing. Oh, okay, here we go. It's the second time through. Okay, so selected tab. So yeah, it should hit our next breakpoint. We have our deep link page path, and we have our path to our main page, which is our tabbed page. Cool. Good. Child found. There's not going to be anything in subpage path, even as we're leaving this statement. Yeah, this actually throws an exception here because there's no more items in there, so we won't even hit that breakpoint, which is pretty ugly. That's why this never completes. So I actually have to fix that. So navigation segments dot any do it this way. I'm gonna say if not navigation segments dot any. So what we do is, I should be commenting this as I go. So we're dequeuing the first part. So this is disregard cool. So that's the first thing, and then if there's none, we just do nothing. Return. If there is something, we grab it. So we'll put a breakpoint here for later. But this won't crash, and we'll actually see the two-stage nav now. I'll launch this again. Hope everybody's having a good Saturday. You celebrate Easter. I hope you're having a good Easter long weekend. 2 drop frames. Anybody having issues with video or audio? Is everything good? Hi, John. Happy to stream this. This is kind of fun for me. I'm always looking for things to stream. Open source code seems to be a really good way to do that. Like you can kind of share in 2 ways, right? So it's really nice. Yeah, and if you have any questions on any of what I'm doing, let me know. Always happy to answer questions. If you want to follow up with anything, I'm on Twitter under Dillbot9000. I'll eventually put a bot in here that'll advertise that. One step at a time with this kind of thing. Setting up a stream, it's like eating an elephant, it seems. Okay, so we're on our navigated 2. Parameters should be empty this time through. They are. Okay. Now we are getting our selected tab. We know that's going to run. I'm just going to remove that breakpoint for now. We know our deep link page path is going to be item detail page ID 2, so that's cool. So now we get down here. Okay, so here's our subpage path. Now it's actually going to come out of here properly, and we're going to do our second phase of our navigation. Cool, so it gets us to our second item, so that's working. Good stuff. Next, we're going to try and dynamically create the tabs. So I was saying I don't use the dynamic tab creation. Specifically, a lot of the work I end up doing, I use the bottom tabs. And bottom tabs come with styling like this. So the icons and things like that. And it's a little bit, you basically would have to stand up a bunch of custom navigation pages just to hold that styling. And so because of that, I haven't used the create page. We'll just do it really vanilla here. So let's do this. So let's do something different here. So let's take a look at Dan's notes. I've got too many windows open. Dan's notes. Tab page, create tab, create tab. Okay, so this is using the Xamarin out of the box tab page. Cool. And then creating two tabs dynamically. And then navigating to a selected tab and a subpage. So we can, let's get set up to handle this. So this is Dan's scenario. I want to make sure that we're adhering to what Dan wants to see. Dan's one of the maintainers of Prism, the framework we're working on. Dan and Brian, great guys, huge community contributors. Okay, so what we want to do with this is the first thing that we need, I need my web page here with these links. I'm navigating between users here. It's kind of a pain. So give me a sec. Go over here. Come on, Vivaldi. There we go. Vivaldi is a pretty decent browser. It's kind of built for security and privacy. Now, I'm not huge on any of that stuff. Security, yes. Privacy, not as much. I'm just opening up the admin panel for my page here. Just bear with me. I have to do this off screen. I need one of those, I need a scene for that. I'll put it in my list. Stream to do. Cool. Basically trying to do as much of this on the fly as possible without really trying to keep some integrity to the actual quality of the video coming through kind of thing. So if I start messing with Streamlabs right now, it's not good for anybody who's watching. So that's why I'm not doing it right now. I would actually like to. I don't like queuing things and dealing with it later. Okay, create tabs, item 2. So I'll show you what I'm doing. I don't think, let's do it here. Do this in VS Code. Cool, so create tabs, item 2. So what we're gonna do here, so we're gonna do tab page. So remember, this is coming from what Dan is instructing us. So I'll just copy this whole thing. So instead of using main page, so main page, if we remember our page markup here, main page is a tab page. It inherits from tab page because this is a root element. So if we actually look at our code behind, it inherits from, it's an instance of tab page. Extends tab page. So we are going to, I want VS Code. We are going to use tab page instead of main page. And then we are going to create a tab. The first tab is going to be items page. Actually, you know what? Let's do this in reverse order just for fun. Items page. I'm gonna zoom in on this just a little bit. So we're going to create, I'll separate this out. So the first thing that we're doing is we're creating tab view A. Then we are going to, and view A is not really what we're going to use. So we're going to create tab. It's really our about page. Let's take a look at that. So about page is just called about page. So that'll be, it's going to be a reversed order of what we saw in our previous app. So our previous app had browse on the left and about on the right, and we're going to flip them around for this one, just for fun. This is about page over here, about page. So then we're going to select tab, items page, sure. And we're going to go to item detail page. Yeah, we'll just keep our query the same. So I'm pretty sure the app will handle this as is. So let's, whoops, I don't want to save that really. I'm going to reassemble this. Oh, text editing. Okay. Just going to copy that one. I'm going to stick that in a page on my site. Okay. Now let's see how this behaves. So we've got another scenario to test. I like that. Oh, what is happening? Nothing important. Okay, let's flip over. So we're going to look at okay, so create tabs. So this is using the same, so we're assuming that it's just going to work. So it's, instead of using the main page, which has 2 subpages, it's going to use the out-of-the-box Xamarin tab page and load into it, use the Prism create tab to create 2 tabs. So let's see what it does. I'm really curious to see how this works without me touching anything. So this will be blank, don't care. I should have just removed the breakpoints for this run through. Let's try that again. Doesn't look like it even worked. Let's put a breakpoint earlier here. See what the URI comes in as. This is really where I should be looking every time. Just keep that breakpoint there. Okay. So, tomobiledevs.com, tab page, create tab about page, create tab items page. Select the tab items page, item detail page, ID 2. Cool. Okay, so I want to see when we get to here, what are we navigating to? Oh, interesting. Oh no, that's what I wanted. So tab page, so it's an absolute URL. It starts with a slash, which means it's going to reset the navigation stack. So if you've got any pages in the stack, they're gone. We're resetting it, starting with the tab page. We're then creating our 2 tabs and selecting the second tab. Okay, so this should get us there. I'm not entirely sure what's going on here. Let's see. I'm going to put a breakpoint here for the second navigation stage. Weird. Okay. Let's take a look at our application output. So good, I'm glad we tested this, because it's clearly not working. Oh, look at this. Oh, do we have something wrong in our URL? Oh, we don't have tab page registered in our app XAML. So I should start up. I need to relook at auto registration. Basically, if we're using the navigation service, you have to navigate to a page. You have to let the navigation service know about that page, and that's what this is doing. This will work now, I think. This should work. I had a running joke at my last place of work that should work is like mostly what you hear from developers, and it usually doesn't work when they say that. Should work. Should work. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, let's jump back into this. All right. Should work. Should work. Okay, first phase of the navigation. Hey, it found the subpage path, so it didn't crash like last time, so we would have had an exception by now. Oh, it works. Good stuff. Okay, now it's not perfect. It's not perfect because we don't have the navigation pages in there, so basically reset the stack, so we can't really navigate anywhere at this point. I think this will exit the app. Oh no, it doesn't. Dismisses the nav. But you can see we've got the tabs in alternate order, reverse order. It's funny. About page clearly doesn't have a title set. Let's fix that. That's kind of annoying. This markup. So it's binding to a title on the view model, which probably is not set. It is set. All right, I don't care. Anyways, so okay, that create tab approach works, which makes me happy. And that's with my hack. So now let's see. So we're never getting here because we're parsing that, we're tearing the URL apart. So let's stop doing that. So basically, this is where I had things last time. I had this commented out, and we are just doing a navigate. Let's watch this again, see how it goes. We're at the about halfway point, so I'm going to stream until 4 p.m. Eastern. I was hoping to have my coffee done so I could have a beer halfway, but I'm not. And I'm actually kind of parched, so I don't know if beer's in the cards. Cool. Let's see. Okay. We're not at a rave. Nobody's taking MDMA here. So let's see how this works when I tear everything down here. Beer is mostly water. That is a good point, John. I've got like half a cup of coffee here, and you know how coffee can kind of dry you out if you're already a little parched? I don't know why I'm drinking this. I should have something more refreshing right now, like a beer. Let's see how this works. So this is just straight passing it into the Prism service. So we know item 2 does not work. This one here where it's using our main page. So if I tap into that, so you can see our URIs coming through. It's just the main page navigation. Main page, select the tab, blah, blah, blah. It's not using the dynamic create. I know this will only get us through the first part. But this is kind of interesting. We should see this item. Yeah, we should see this dequeued segment at this point. Yeah, so cool. So that's something we want. So we want this. This is in the Prism navigation service. This is ultimately where we're going to have to handle that navigation. In this service, not in this method. Okay, I'm gonna take a minute. I'm gonna get some water and beer. Don't run away. All right, I'm back. Okay, so I'm wearing a Godspeed shirt. I'm having a Godspeed beer. So I wish this had the brewed date on it. Oh, it does. Oh, this one's not that fresh. February 7th. So this is time to drink this one. So I'm drinking Uchame from Godspeed Brewery, which is my closest brewery, closest microbrewery. Trying to, we've been ordering from them through the COVID pandemic. So this is a green tea IPA. It's not too crazy. It is 6.5%. Green tea IPA, 6.5%. It's nice, not crazy cloudy. Cheers, everybody. Happy Saturday. Very nice. Nice selection, John. Okay. What's up next? So we've got the page path in there. We know that works. We know we can get what we want. We know we can DQ what we need. Let's see how this looks with the create. Why did I hit stop? Come on. Get it together. Wait for that to load up. Cheers. Okay. So let's try with our dynamically created tabs and see what we get. So we're just going to let this run. Subpage path. Cool. So it's doing the same thing. The parsing looks the same. Oh. Interesting. Oh, okay, right. So this is the whole reason why we have the workaround, because we need navigation pages in there to make it work properly. Okay, so that's kind of expected. So that's really the first thing that we need to do with this. So this is a hard crash, which is not good. So basically, so that's a consideration we have to take. So if we, let's take a look at where this was invoked from. Navigation proxy. We don't have a very sane stack trace for this. Is there anything else? So that does not really help. So we don't actually know where what we were trying to push onto the page stack. Because it looks like it was actually trying to create some pages and then crashed. Let's let this go. See if we get any more information. It's one of the things I will always mention to people starting out with Xamarin.Forms. You're tempted to hit the stop button when something goes wrong, but just keep hitting play until the application exits. You get more information dumped to the application output console. So it dumped our exception, and then it dumped some more stuff here. Push async. Do we have? Nope. Okay. Stack trace is not great from there. So we'll step through this and actually see where it's pushing those pages onto the stack. So last time I tried to just kind of debug this by looking through and reading the code. In Page Navigation Service to see how it's all fitting together. Got me, a decent way along, and I've got a better understanding now than I did before, but there's still some gaps. So I want to actually see, we'll run through this, and I want to see that crash this time. I want to see where it's coming from, where those pages get pushed on the stack. What it's trying to push on the stack, I think, is actually the key thing. So there's two pieces. I want to figure out what it's trying to push on the stack when we do the create tabs flow. And then the second thing is I want to know, so what is it pushing, and then where is it pushing that onto the stack? So let's see if we can figure that out. Okay, so I'm gonna click on our link. It's gonna enter our flow. Yeah, I'm gonna keep those breakpoints. Breakpoints are one of those things where, they're really great. Sometimes they get in the way. You've got like a breakpoint in there for a general purpose. Okay, so let's see where this goes. Right, so we looked at this last time. This is the configure tab page method. And the tab selection is done down here after the tab creation. So the tabs are created down here, and they're all set. So we actually have this tab page, which, let's take a quick look at this. I'm kind of interested to see what's added to this tab page. Let's look at locals. So tab page. So it's created our tab page based on our parameters. So we should have 2 children. So there's our children. About page and items page. Now we're trying to navigate into items page. I'm curious. Where would we be able to see that? I think this is pretty much it. Because it would be trying to add anything else to the stack after it adds tab page. So, okay, so that answers some questions, kind of. Configure pages. Cool. Done with that. Create page from segment. So this is where it creates our tab page. So we're actually returning that tab page here that has the 2 tabs. What are we exiting here? This is create page from segment. Process navigation for root page. Okay, so this is where it's going to so we have the next page. So this is actually where it's navigating to that page. And this process navigation is mostly around that iNavigable, I think that's the name of that. iNavigation aware, sorry. iNavigation aware interface is processed. So any page view model that implements this interface in process navigation is where the page navigation service, okay, where the page navigation service will, this music is very distracting. I like it, but it's distracting. Okay. So this process navigation method is actually going to populate the, it's going to call the iNavigation aware methods and pass in the navigation parameters. So let's take a quick look at that. So I want to make sure there's no surprises in here. Looked at this last time, it just verified, like this is the bulk of what I borrowed from Prism before, this process navigation and the interfaces, and using the nice pattern matching to actually call what you need. It's cool. So I don't think there's anything in here that we really need to know about. It's just doing the thing. Doing the thing. Calling the methods on that iNavigation aware interface and any other navigation related interfaces. So segments, we have one. We'll just skim through this really quick. Next segment. Okay, I'm glad we're in here. So next segment. So this is ultimately what we want to pass into. Okay, so I'm going to go back and add a note. So we're passing around that static URI, which is kind of like our hack. But really what we want to pass around is a segments queue, which is the properly split up string, so we don't have to reprocess it. And the DQ is really nice too. Okay, so let's go to, I'm just gonna flip back to our tab page select tab method. So this is where I was hacking around before, of course with our URI. I'm gonna put in a to-do here. To-do remove ugly URI static member. Cool. Just some notes. Okay, so now I'm going to jump back to where I was. Call stack, of course, is my friend, so I can just jump to where my last call was. Success, finished my coffee. Now I can go back to beer. Okay, so I'm going to process the next segment, which is our page parameters. Page parameters contains key, modal, it won't contain that, so we know that. Next segment equals remove page segment. What is this? Oh, this is a special parameter, probably for going back. I'll have to look into that. I'm going to make a note of that. Making a note, trying to find my window. We can close this. Let's take a really quick glance at what this is. Yeah, it's a constant. So page navigation service, remove page segment. What is page navigation service remove segment? Don't want to look into that now. It is a distraction, but I do not want to forget to look at it later. Okay, so I know we're not going to hit that because we don't have a segment called remove segment. Current page is not null. Current page is a tab page. So what's going to happen here? Let's see. Process navigation for tab page. So we're passing in all our goodies here. So we've got the current page, so that's currently what's being displayed. We have our next segment, which is our basically our navigation parameters. Our next piece of the URI, navigation path. We're going to process. We have all the segments. Have our parameters, which is null. We use modal flag, and we have our animated flag. Okay, let's dive into this one. I think this is where the goods are. Should have looked at what Brian was saying there in that ticket. Let's actually take a quick look at this. So this is one thing we didn't look at. So Brian watched the last stream I had and said, can't simply change the way deep link navigation works when dealing with the selected tab to automatically start nesting the nav process. Right. I don't want to break the way it works. Massive navigation behavior break. Yeah. Instead, you will need some type of flag or way to opt into nest navigation operation for tabs. Yeah. If you manage to implement this feature, you also have to update the navigation service extension's get navigation URI path method to account for the nested tab navigation stacks to return the proper nav URI. So then I gave a navigation, like an example of the subpage path, which we were looking at earlier. So that's basically a way of opting in. So if we put a subpage path, if we just explicitly say this is our subpage path in our URI, that's a way to opt in. That doesn't break the existing functionality. So it seems like, so Brian has outlined the way he sees it as working, and Dan has, I don't think Dan read that, so he gave me some spec that doesn't really account for that. So I'll have to clarify that with them. But shouldn't be a big deal. Should get that straightened out pretty quick. Notes here for clarification. Enhanced query string parsing for deepening. Okay, so this is good. Dynamic creation of tabs. Good. Support scenarios where one or more tabs is a navigation page. Yes. Handle navigation, which is like really what we should be doing anyways. Handle navigation relative to the tab in question. Handle the navigation, yeah, of course. So that's selected tab. Tab page, yep, perfect. This code should always continue to push view C modally over the tab page. Okay. But it doesn't do that currently. Oh, I see. So the slash is a new navigation statement. Okay, so the philosophy here is when you have a slash, this indicates that you're starting a new navigation stack. So basically this is the first part of your stack. So because this isn't, there's two ways of doing this. So let's just, this is good to explore. I'm gonna write this in the notes too. Let's do that here. From Dan, stream to do. Just say notes. Okay, so there's really These are really the scenarios that I'm looking at. So notes, navigation scenarios. I don't know why I'm using a header for that. So really we want, so this scenario, really I don't need any of this dressing here. So this scenario, should label these. So scenario 1, so this is relative. So because we're not leading with a slash here on this URL, this is a relative URL, which means it'll stack pages on top of what you already have loaded. Plus modal. You see. So this is basically, so there's scenarios, but there's also navigation logic. So a slash indicates, wait, how does Dan word this? New navigation segment. Sometimes just parsing this and rewording it and kind of spelling it out. What I'm trying to do with this too is write documentation on the fly. So as I understand more of this, why not write notes that are kind of almost ready to push somewhere for docs? Good practice. Okay, so slash indicates new navigation segment. And then basically IE opens a modal page, new stack. No wrap. Okay. So that's a rule. So this is a scenario. So the other scenario is absolute. Absolute URL plus modal. So this looks extremely similar to this, except for we lead with a slash on that URL. Not a very good way of structuring this. I'll revisit this later. Slash. So we lead with the slash, which means as soon as you call the Prism navigation methods, leading with the slash, that resets your navigation stack. Cool. So that's good. Your current navigation stack, which makes it interesting. Okay. So we're good. So we almost need a different way to delimit this. Interesting. There was, let's look at the Prism docs. I saw like another delimiter somewhere in the documentation a little while ago when I was initially looking into this. I think there's a pipe somewhere that's meant to be used as a delimiter. quite remember if that was a real thing or maybe something I just wanted. Oh, here it is. Here we go. Create a tab that wraps a page in a navigation page. Simply denote this as a nested hierarchy using the pipe character. There we go. So this is actually what I found that didn't fully work. Come full circle. This is what I was looking at 5 months ago going, how am I going to do this down the road? And then I implemented my own thing, and here we are now trying to get it fully working in the framework itself or in the library itself. Okay, so 3. This isn't really a scenario, this is a rule, so I'm going to move that. Just cleaning this up. Want this to look similar to what we already have. Cool. Okay, so I want to try this now. So I can't remember what happened with this. Let's do a couple things. Okay, so let's try this. So, of course, I closed my editing screen for our website page. Of course, why wouldn't I? Okay. We're going to quickly update that page. I am going to flip over to VS Code. Okay, so now we want this. Create tab, navigation page, view A. So let's just try this simple scenario. Create tab, navigation page, pipe, items page. Oh, but this is interesting too. Selected tab, items page. How the hell is it supposed to know? Oh, there's logic there for that. I remember seeing that last time. Let's take a quick, I don't want to go back through and look. I just want to experiment. Okay, so let's see how this, what this gets us. Okay. So this is another scenario we're going to see and have to handle. So let's see what this looks like when we launch this. And of course I've been debugging. This is all frozen. Where did we get? How far did we get here? So this is trying to create the next piece, but you know what? I think we're just going to ignore this for time being. We'll come back to this. So this, if we remember, if I just kind of refresh myself before I put this away and try with that new link. So create page from segment is called from process navigation for tab page. And process navigation for tab page actually has a segment for item detail page ID2. Okay, I will revisit this a little bit later. Okay, so I'm not relaunching the app or anything. I don't really need to do that. I just want to see how it behaves with that pipe delimited parameter. So let's see. So this is what our URI is coming in as. tomobiledevs.com/tab page, create tab about page, create tab navigation page, pipe items page, and select tab items page. So let's see how this works. I'm gambling not well. It doesn't crash. That's something. Or does it? Yes. It silently crashes. So that's because we're just handling that crash. Okay, so our navigation page is not registered, so we have to do that. Trying to manage screen real estate when I'm used to having a giant monitor and I'm forced into this like constrained environment, it just feels very awkward. Tab page. We also have to add navigation page in there. Navigation page. Good. Let's try this again. I hope everybody is having a good weekend. I hope everybody is safe and healthy and that you're coping okay with the current circumstances. I know it's odd. This is a good distraction. I find I'm watching a lot of live coding, trying to do as much live coding as possible. It's a good way to kind of disconnect. Just focus on something constructive. It's good. Okay, so let's try this. Create tabs, navigation page. So here it comes. Same URL as last time. Let's see what it does. Something. Hits our breakpoint. Subpage path. Cool. Process navigation for tab page, current page. So our tab page. Let's see what it created in our tab page this time. I'm going to do this in the locals just because it's far less annoying than trying to use that dynamic pop-up. So, oh, current page is where we currently are at. So I don't really care about that. Do we have access to next page in here? No. Okay, I don't care. Let's let this run. Invalid operation exception. Push async is not supported globally. Please use a navigation page. So this is similar to where we were before. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let this go. I'm going to see. It should be the same stack trace as we got last time. Yeah, so nothing really useful in there. It's fine. This is fine. What I'm going to do is simplify that URL that we just created. I'll do that in code. Simplify that. I'm going to turn on word wrap in here because this is annoying. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this segment here. So this is just going to be create tabs with a navigation tab. We're not going to go to item ID 2, just because I want to see how this works in current state. Put that here. Items. That instinct to save automatically, even though I'm actually copying and pasting somewhere else. Okay, so now that's updated. We'll go back to our environment here, relaunch this. unlock this. Come on. Cool. Got that page refreshed. Now we're going to try it again as soon as it comes back up. Okay. Create tabs, navigation page items. So that is simplified. So we're not going to, so we're creating a tabbed page. We're adding a tab for about, we're adding a tab for navigation page, which contains a nested items page. We're selecting the tab items page. Okay. Okay. Cool. Cool. This works exactly the way we'd expect it to. Let's get fancy. So technically, the way I'd expect this to work looking at this. We're creating a navigation page. We're nesting an items page. So it's a little bit different. So this isn't actually, this holds the stack, and this is the only page on the stack. But it's not like we could just use this doesn't seem right to do navigation page, items page, like my other page. Because the navigation page, this has nothing to do with the first two. So these become like kind of, navigation page is really a container. It's not truly a page. So this is like a special case, and then anything after that becomes select a tab. So you'd almost want to do select a tab and then use the same delimiter here, maybe. So you'd want to go pipe item details page ID equals 2. Put this on a new line. Interesting. So, okay. I am going to copy this. I'm going to put it in our notes, and this is going to be another thing to follow up. Okay. So I think this is interesting. This is a little bit of a reset. It's funny. So I looked at this 5 months ago. Originally, I looked at the delimiting and went, okay, well, this doesn't work for me, and found my workaround. And then I've been so dialed into the way my workaround works, I forgot about how Prism actually works. So it's a good refresh to look at this again with fresh eyes. So now, let's bump back in here. So that's working, and I've got another URL. Let's actually see, let's see what this does. It's not going to do anything, but I'm going to add this. I'm just going to undo what I've done. Put this on a new line, add this one down here. Okay. Update the page on my website with those deep links, and 20 minutes to go here. Let's see if we can make any progress. It's just been a lot of discovery these first few sessions. So I'm trying to do this twice a week. Tuesday evenings, 7 p.m. Eastern, and Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 2 hours. I'm starting to get into this a little bit though and feel like that's not going to be enough time. And I'm going to want to add a third. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. Well, I didn't label this properly, but whatever. We're going to try it. So that's our URI. So this time, we're creating 2 tabs. One of those tabs has a navigation page. Yeah, John, it's in the, we've got the Twitch countdown going, and I'll be spamming Twitter, LinkedIn, you know, Reddit. Okay, so we're creating 2 tabs. One of those tabs has a navigation page and an items page. So a navigation page which wraps an items page, so that gives us a navigation stack and the navigation bar. We're selecting our items page tab because the service accounts for a wrapped page, which is awesome. And then we are passing, just on a whim, we're using that same pipe delimiter to ask for the item detail page ID 2. And I am 90% positive that this doesn't work, but I can't remember. So let's see what happens when we navigate. Yeah. Okay. So it breaks. It breaks, period. Like, it won't even navigate to the page we asked for at that point because it doesn't see it as a valid. It's just as valid. And it doesn't even load. Like, this is a mess at this point. Okay. All right, so we have our scenario, I think. I think this is our red. This is what we want to try and refactor for. So this is where we're going to start making changes to account for this. So this is a better place. Now, I think the way I optimally want to do this is take a bit of a TDD driven approach for how this is going to work. So I need to see current state of tests, and then I am going to build out my own tests to take the path of handling this navigation scenario. So I want it all to be, you know, failing, of course, because currently is failing. So I want to make the tests reflect reality by putting tests in place that will fail. And then I will start building out based on that. In the meantime, that doesn't mean we can't continue to experiment and investigate. Okay. Yeah, process. Current page. I'm gonna run this again. I want to see. So let's run this through a few different scenarios. So really all these scenarios, everything but main uses some sort of tab selection. Let's run through all of them. Let's see. So this is the most simple. This is using a predefined tab page, so our main page, and selecting a tab. So that works. Good stuff. So create tabs with a navigation page, wrapping our items page. These breakpoints are kind of irritating at this point, but Okay, so it creates us 2 tabs. Navigation page. This toolbar is very annoying. I wonder if I can make that go away. Whatever. Cool, that works. We know this one works. Oh no, this does not work. So this is, if we look at this URI, this is what I was using. This was the format I was using for my workaround. So I was failing to acknowledge how Brian and Dan intend the slash to work. So that slash is really like, we start a new modal from that slash. If it's at the beginning of the URI, that means we're resetting the navigation stack. So we're clearing it, we're starting anew. So we're basically setting the main page of our Xamarin app to whatever we've, and it's kind of confusing here because this is called main page, but the main page that's on our Xamarin, our app.xaml.cs or our app.cs, we're setting that to whatever page is first in the stack. So main page, select a tab. Our main page is a tab page. I got to change the name of this to view A, view B, view C, because these are too generic. Anyways, items page, we're selecting that, and then we're parsing out that second part. With the workaround, we're parsing out that second slash, but like I said, that doesn't really conform to the Prism URI standards, so got to change that. But that's fine. I'm not going to change that now. I just have to acknowledge that this is going to break. Yeah, let's let this go. Yeah. Cool. Like I said, keep hitting that continue execution. If you've got a hard crash, get more info. And in this case, it's not helpful, but usually it is. TDD is extremely useful for things like this too, where you're not fully comfortable with the code, like the whole source. Like really, I'm not intimately familiar with bits of Prism, like with most of it, really. I know how to use it relatively well, probably not even expert level there, intermediate. So having TDD available is great. Okay, so let's continue testing these. So we know that this one is broken. I think this one is broken too. And this one's broken. So anything that we go to the individual page, none of these work, which is exactly what we're trying to fix. So great. So we know that this one is, okay, so current state. Let's document that a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick out those 3 URLs. So this one, and this one. So current state. Let's put that right at the top. Current state. So our current state. So using the workaround style URL. Both defies Prism standard Prism logic and so it defies and cannot be parsed. Which is really kind of interesting Did it fail? So no, it can be parsed. It crashes. Crashes spectacularly. And like, really, I'm gonna dump the rest of these URLs in here quickly. Let's just dump those in there. Okay, so we get these in here, and then I want to look at that crash. So it should be in my output. Is it in my output? No, it is not. Let's make it crash again, because that's fun. Break. Do it. Crash. Crash and burn. Here goes. Okay, so what we're gonna do, just let it go, and we're gonna grab this here. And my markdown foo is not good. It's okay. It's part of this exercise too. Try and sharpen the tools along the way. All right, so we've got our stack trace. So yeah, we don't have a navigation page where we need a navigation page, so that breaks it. Cool. This one, so that's this. Oops. Put that in brackets. So that's the first one. That's the workaround style. So this one, where we create the tabs, this has the same. So this is about the same. Same scenario as above, but with dynamically created tabs. And that's really like, we don't need a separate stack trace. It's going to be the exact same. This one, so the parsing URL parsing URL parsing within page navigation service, page navigation service does not count for a pipe being present within the selected tabs. Selected tab parameter and fails to select a tab and do any further navigation. And that's this URL format. So it'd be the same thing if we did this so if we did this static page. Statically. Cool. So then if I say this is main page, we don't have any of the create tab, we just have selected tab. This would behave the same way, because that's processed the same way. And yes, that's an assumption. I did not test that. Oh, hold on. I copied the wrong one. It's this. Selected tab, items page, item detail, page, ID equals 2. So I think this is really how we want to structure things. So I'm glad I had another look at this and like investigated further. Brian and Dan, get a look at this. Thanks guys for pointing me in the right direction. This looks good. So next session. So let's plan that out a little bit. So next session, we want to write tests. So we want unit and UI for our scenarios. So that's the big one. So I need to follow up with Dan for next session. And this is really some action items, not open questions. Action items. I'm such a corporate stooge. So I'm going to find out about unit tests. I'm going to look into remove segment a little bit just so I understand that. And I'm going to verify our navigation, like our URL structure basically, with Dan and Brian. And next session, we will write some unit tests and some UI tests for our scenarios so we can test it very easily. And from there, so we'll test and then we'll begin. We'll have to write the parsing, right? That's the next thing. Implement parsing for pipe delimiter within selected tab navigation parameter URL query string parameter. Okay, well, this has been fun and productive. If you have any suggestions on anything you'd like to see on the stream, I'm all ears. Would love to hear your feedback. This is pretty fun and very low effort for me, really. Just kind of hang out on here and do my thing. So I'm having fun doing this. I'm very open to having people on the stream. Would love to have people join in. You know, just basically pair with me or heckle or whatever, or maybe we can work through something that you're looking at. Maybe help you get started with something. Maybe you can introduce me to something new. Yeah, it's been good. Thanks for joining, everybody. I will see you Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Please tune in and spread the word if you enjoyed. Thanks, John. Nice having you here. Cheers, everybody. Happy Saturday.